You're listening to Ideal Practice, episode number 156. And today, guys, we're going to talk about some of the most creative, out-of-the-box ways you could possibly serve your clients. And to help me out with this, I have invited back my guest, Gary Katz. Remember him? You met him back in the spring. He is an incredibly creative guy and had some fantastic stories to share about the ways he shows up for his clients. I love this conversation so much, and I know you're going to love it too. So, stay tuned. Hi, I'm Wendy Pitts-Reeves, and with over 2 decades of experience in the private practice world, I've built my 6-figure business while learning a lot of lessons the hard way. This is the first podcast that shows you how to apply the principles of energy, alignment, and strategy to build a practice that is profit-centered, but people-forward. This is the Ideal Practice Podcast. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Ideal Practice Podcast. This is Wendy Pitts-Reeves, your host, and I am so happy to be hanging out with you today because we have got a fun conversation. I love this stuff so much. So my guest today is Gary Katz. You may remember him. I had him on the show back in the spring to talk about the importance of connection. This is a subject that is near and dear to Gary's heart, and we had a beautiful conversation about not just the importance of, but different ways to connect with yourself as a clinician, as a healer, as a practice owner, and with your colleagues and with your clients. If you haven't heard that, I definitely encourage you to go back and listen to that because it was a great conversation. Gary is the founder of a program in Knoxville, a program called the Center for Intimacy Recovery in New York City, which focuses primarily on intimacy and relationships. And he has grown that practice into a large group practice. He's got over 20 therapists at this point, 12 and growing weekly groups. It's all private pay, and he is expanding around the country. I think he's got sites now in 7 states, if I remember right. So Gary's doing something that works. And when you meet him, it's not hard to understand why, because he's a beautiful soul. He just really is. But today, we're talking about the fun side of private practice, y'all. And some of the stories that he had to share are a little crazy, but in my mind, crazy in the best possible way. And I just loved it so much. I got some new ideas, in fact, that I'd never thought of, which is great. I just love that. So if you have any interest in shaking things up a little bit in your practice and maybe trying out some new creative ideas and maybe showing up for your clients in a way that can move them forward, maybe faster, maybe at a deeper level, maybe in a more impactful way, I think this conversation is going to help you with that. So I really invite you to tune in, pay attention to the ideas that pop into your head as you listen to this, jot down a few notes, and enjoy. So without further ado, let's get in to the interview. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Ideal Practice Podcast. I am delighted to bring back one of my favorite guests today, and I just told him he's the first person I've invited back for a round 2, which is a lot of pressure. Not really. It's just because he had so much to say in the first time that we talked, and I just wanted to know more about the way he works, because Gary is a really creative guy. And Gary, you don't know this, but I've also mentioned you on other episodes actually along the way. Yeah.
I've listened to some of yours. I haven't heard those yet, but I've listened to other episodes of the podcast, which I enjoy.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I enjoy them too. Not that I'm biased or anything. So anyway, everybody say hi to Gary. Gary Katz. Gary, say hi.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here again.
Be here again in the middle of summer. And you are in New York City.
I am. Right now, I'm at home working virtually today, which is about an hour north of New York City in Carmel, New York. And we've had rain here basically for a month.
Really? It's been like that here too. Really rainy.
There's been no summer yet. We had a summer moment this morning, I actually went outside for a little while. I had a cancellation, and it was really nice. And now it looks like it's going to pour again.
Crazy. It's been kind of weird, hasn't it?
It
It really
doesn't feel
has.
like summer at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a southerner. I keep walking around going, when's it going to get hot? It's supposed to be hot
exactly.
by now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. And that could influence actually some of the things I want to talk about today. So I can't imagine that anyone hasn't already heard you in our previous episode, which was 140, y'all, if you want to go back and look at that. But just in case they're new to you, tell everybody a little bit about what you do, who you serve, how you serve them.
Yeah. Well,
Loaded question.
yeah, no, just the way you phrase it, who you serve, it's such an
Mm,
that's a loaded question too, because that's kind of what it is for me. Like it's an opportunity for service. Before I think
yeah.
I mentioned I used to be a teacher as an education. That felt this like a similar calling to me to help kids evolve into their
Yeah.
best sense of self, and this is what we're doing in mental health. And it's what I want to do as a business owner also with my staff is help them to evolve in whatever way they can to their best sense of self, not just as a, employee and a member of our team, but if it's to leave and go build their biggest practice and dream that way, I want to help them too. And if it's to stay as
Mm,
long as they can here and that's their dream, then that's your wording of serve just caught me off guard for a second and made me think.
yeah.
But yeah, so I have a
Yeah.
practice, the Center for Intimacy Recovery. It's based out of New York, but we're in 7 states, ranging from around here, like Connecticut, New Jersey, but also Texas, Florida, California, Virginia,
Wow.
Vermont.
You are
And
really
we,
growing, really
yeah,
growing.
yeah, thank God. I'm very grateful. And kind of shocked sometimes too, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's just an opportunity to help people individually or in couples or group therapy um, develop a greater and deeper sense of intimacy with themselves and then with other people.
Yeah.
And sometimes that requires unraveling all the protective strategies that we all develop to keep our tender hearts safe. So that has to get unraveled first, and in order to be able to do that, and then invite other people into our hearts as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's scary territory.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah. And you and I think we both are huge fans of experiential work as a
Yes.
way of helping people do that. Yeah. We
Yeah,
found out we had that in common. Yeah.
that's
I
right.
know you do a lot of groups, like a lot of your work is group based. But it is so much more than just sitting around a circle talking, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Anything
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
any idea, I have a background, like I said, in education. And even the last 10 years, I was in, maybe even longer in education. A big part of my job was non-traditional, outside the box classroom learning.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
So finding ways to get the kids, or actually I worked with adults too, to learn in addition to like frontal teaching, whether it's an
Hmm.
assembly or an activity or something experiential that just, because we don't all learn the same.
Yeah.
And, in fact, frontal teaching sometimes is the least likely to be successful. So it was really creating special programming. And I just love the creativity aspect of that. I think
Mm-hmm.
my best job was when I interviewed and the administrator told me, I just want you to come to my office with ideas. We won't do them all,
Oh,
but just come in. And I was just leaving a job because every idea I brought was micromanaged or rejected. That's
wow.
what made me
Oh,
leave. And so like that kind of space of like being creative and then running summer camps also, which is out of the box. And to me, it's all an opportunity to help people learn so many things about themselves in a
mm-hmm.
non-school like environment. There should be a place
Mm-hmm.
for every kid or adult to shine. And so kind of bringing
When you were in education, what age group were you working with primarily?
yeah, I in the classroom I taught primarily middle school. Over my career I taught everything from third grade, which I loved actually, to through
Huh.
high school. And then
Huh.
I taught senior adults for a long time also.
Wow, really? That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And I ran a summer camp that was specifically for senior adults, usually in their 80s, mid 70s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I
Yeah,
love
so
it.
trying to find an activity every night for those kids, those 80-year-old kids, was you needed some creativity, or and
Yep.
finding a way to
Huh.
engage middle school kids. That was the age group I taught the most, and also create out of the box education for the most. So I think the
Mm.
same thing, I did EMDR training years ago, and I took a refresher course with the guy who trained me. Um, just a wonderful, wonderful man. And in the group supervision, he sent us this study that was done in 2022 that therapists who take additional courses don't usually become better therapists
Ah.
because they don't practice and implement it. They just take the
Mm-hmm.
course and then they go
Yep.
back to the regular way they've been practicing.
Yep.
And I was like,
Yep.
oh my God, I feel like I'm a member of, I must have been in that study because I've been taking training since the day I graduated, for the last 15 years, not pretty
Yep.
much nonstop. And I always hit that wall of like, I love what I'm learning. I want to incorporate it. I do in some ways, but I don't feel I usually do, probably because I'm not practicing it right away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
You have to
easy to
get
go,
past the discomfort
yeah,
of learning
exactly.
something new. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And have the
Mm-hmm.
confidence to implement it and be messy and make mistakes.
Yep.
And so I think the same thing is like it's easy to just default in therapy to talking and stuff like that. And I just always want to try to remind myself and staff, like, what can you do that if it would be when it's helpful, that's out of the box,
Yeah.
that will help you and the client to achieve the goals in a different or faster or deeper way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And often that means something that gets them moving or
Yeah.
something that's using a different part of their brain, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if it's just talking and just I mean, this, right?
Yeah.
Like just, and I'm sure many of the listeners know this, right? Just talk
Yeah.
therapy alone isn't always going to create the change. They can nod and be like, yes, oh, that's good. And there is a psychoeducation component where talk therapy is really helpful. And I don't know any studies. I'm sure there are, like a component where having a new understanding and framework does create a certain level of change. But those things which are really ingrained deep into our psyche, into our nervous system,
Yeah.
right? So like, let's say I'm
Yeah.
dealing with anger and I can learn all about it and this and that, but then and I can even work with a client on it. And I finish the session, I go downstairs and someone in my house says something to me that hits me the wrong way. And boom, despite everything I've learned, my nervous system just has this, for me, I call it like a whoosh reaction.
Mm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, there I am. And so
Mm-hmm.
working with the nervous system when the person's more engaged and the nervous system is activated is a way to create change on that level, not just on the cerebral level.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
most people know what to do.
Right. And if that's all it took, if all it took was information, as a coach of mine used to say, we'd all be rich and skinny.
Yeah, and we'd
That's
all
all.
be out of work. Right.
Right.
Our
Right.
profession would
Right.
be out of work and
Yeah,
every
that's
book
true.
would solve every
Yeah.
problem, but it doesn't because, yeah.
What
So,
I love about just your background, first of all, there's a special place in heaven for middle school teachers. I just want to say that. You have to have a
yes,
calling to work with that age group of all of them.
it's
Even
true.
back when I had a full bodied practice and was seeing all kinds of different folks, 11, 12-year-old girls just put me to sleep and the boys just irritate the fire out of me. I would take a
They,
grumpy teenager any day over them, like, forget it. But third grade, middle school, 80-year-olds, all very different populations
mhm,
with very different ways of processing information. And you'd have
mhm,
to come up with very different ways to connect with them or to
correct,
engage them, right?
correct.
So that alone is fascinating to me because I'm sure you incorporated all kinds of lessons from that. And then you come into your practice and you create this beautiful group practice. And now you're doing the same thing with your staff and so on. So tell me a little bit about, I'm going to save what I saw on your website because that's the juiciest thing. I'm going to save that to
Okay.
the end. I want to talk about some of the more kind of either crazy or just out of the box or like, I can't even believe I did that, but I did that. Things that you've done with clients over the years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oof.
My malpractice insurance is up to date. I do.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't know if I don't think of them as, I mean, they're
Or
different, but I
just
don't feel,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's this, I really want to do it again, but I did surf therapy here in New York for a number of years. I brought clients out to the Rockaways, which is one of those closest places. It's about an hour. It's part of New York City, actually. It's in Queens. And people don't really think of New York as a place for the beach, but
Right.
One of the five boroughs, Queens, has a section called the Rockaways, which is beautiful and has lovely beaches and surfing, a surf culture. And so
Huh.
I like surfing, and I took clients there to experience to do a lesson together and then do therapy on the beach because surfing is a full body sport.
Wow.
because you're lying on your board and you have to be able to push yourself up. It's got an adrenaline thing when you try to catch a wave or you're trying to go over a wave. And then it has a very serene thing. So it mimics a nervous system getting activated and then calm, activated and then calm. There's other programs that use it a lot with veterans because their nervous systems go like that too. Calm, wait, battle, activated, calm.
Specifically with surfing in particular with veterans? I hadn't heard that. Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned the surfing when we met before, and I was like, you did what? Okay, that's a new one. Right. I
It's
really
just not pragmatic in New York City business-wise. It's an hour at least to get there from New York City. So it's an hour transportation. Then you have an hour lesson. Then you have an hour therapy. And then you have an hour to an hour and a half traffic back into wherever you're going. So that's a 4-hour thing. It's not pragmatic. If I either lived out in that area, I would do it regularly. Or if I lived, let's say, along the coast of other places, like along the East Coast, along the West Coast, along the Gulf, I would totally.
It's more like an intensive. It would be more like a half-day intensive or a VIP day, something like that.
So then I said I've been wanting to do it again. That's kind of the context I've been thinking about, like, or doing a group, like get a whole group out there, have them do a group lesson, and then sit in group and process for an hour or two. Right, or an intensive, like you said, is just the transportation, and so it becomes cost prohibitive for the client, or do you charge? Maybe not. Yeah. And
or maybe you charge just quite a bit more because it's experiential. It's a very different kind of thing. Yeah.
And there's so much that comes up there. Like the first client I took, a really wonderful woman, and we're standing there and we're in bathing suits, which is already different than being in your therapist's office.
Kinda.
Right. And as I'm putting on a wetsuit, which is very form-fitting, and I'm looking down at that time, probably 40-something-year-old belly, and feeling it stick out. And I thought to myself,
here we go.
If I'm this self-conscious, and how is she feeling?
Yeah.
And at that moment, it clicked in my head, oh, yeah. And she had she didn't have it at that time because she really had worked past it, but she had a history of body dysmorphia and eating disorder. I'm like, oh, I wonder if this is kicking that up. So that was just right from the get-go. Then we both go out there. We have share an instructor. And
you had an instructor, like a professional that was with you?
I partnered with a wonderful surf school program out in the Rockaways called Local Surf School. They're really great. We've worked with them for a variety of things, and I would highly recommend them. And now you're learning together, which is different than in therapy, even though, yes, we learn with the client, blah, blah, blah. But I think many of us sit in the position of the expert in our chair or couch. And you're getting humbled because unless you're an expert surfer, which I am very much not, you're getting knocked on over in front of your client, just like them.
Yeah.
So it's a very different playing field, and it creates and it's a shared experience, which has a lot of vulnerability in it. So we finished the lesson. My goal was just to have the lesson to sit on the beach. We did them early in the morning, so the beaches weren't crowded. There weren't distractions. And she's already in her body.
Wow.
That's all I wanted. So as soon as we started processing, it was a very different vibe. And she's in her body because she's exhausted, as was I, which was, and so like some clients, if you say to them, take a moment, and what do you notice in your body? They dissociate, especially if they've had a history of abuse, trauma to their body. And so exhaustion is a back door in because they can feel their muscles. Like for me, when I surf, my abs are sore from lying on the surfboard. I'm winded. So there's so much connection to my body. And so like starting there and noticing what's in her body and coming up and then but then processing, what was it like to put on that wetsuit?
Yep.
What was it like to watch me put on that wetsuit?
Yeah.
What was it like to get knocked over? Because everyone eventually gets knocked over. What was it like to see me there's just so much there. There's a lot less storytelling and a lot more somatic and felt experience.
And so much of a metaphor. Like there are so many metaphors around the waves.
I use it all the time, right? Like surfing the wave of your feelings, right? Right. If I'm at the beach and I stand in the wrong spot as the water comes in, right? The waves are rolling if we look at them out in the distance, but as the water gets more shallow and the land underneath the water pushes up the wave, that's when it crests and then it crashes and then it peters out. If people stand where the wave is crashing and surf anywhere, you get hurt, you get knocked over.
Yep.
But if you either go past it or you lean and duck under the wave, into the wave.
Yeah.
or you move back after it's already run its course, it doesn't hurt you. And feelings are the same way. Most of us
Yes.
turn away from feelings when they're right at their highest point. Loneliness, sadness, pain,
When they're at the
fear,
peak.
anger. So we
Yeah.
turn away, and where's all that energy go? It's staying there in our
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
If we can
And it
learn
hits you
to
in the
let,
back of the head and knocks you off your feet.
right,
Right.
right.
And you can, I love so many symbols there. So you can see the feelings coming. You can see them coming a long way away. You can try to avoid them, or you can prepare for them. You can glide over them, dive into them, process
Right.
them, let it pass you on by. Like so many.
And they lose their
Yeah.
power if you let them go through. Just like a biggest wave, as it comes up onto the
Yeah.
sand, it does lose its power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the people that you took out, this is such a great one to start with. Were they people who were already fairly adventuresome or had done physical or kind of physically active? Like, how did you choose who you would offer this to?
Yeah. So obviously you want to be careful and choose well, especially like anytime I practice any new modality that I learn, I'm going to choose someone I think it'll go easier with than the
Yeah.
most challenging client. Some of
Yeah.
them were, but not all. Like I had another client who wasn't really that active, but we wanted to get her more into her body, and she had a horrific abuse history, so very dissociated. And I let her pick. She picked an exercise class anywhere in New York City. There's a lot of exercise
Are
classes.
there?
And she picked this one that was probably one of the hardest ones I've ever gone to. It's called The Class. That's like a little.
Really? So you said pick an exercise class,
Yeah, I
any
mean, I
of.
would have vetoed it if I thought it wasn't a good thing. And actually, the one she picked is an interesting method because they have you do repetitive motions, which aren't hard on their own, but like for the length of a song, like jump up and down for 3 minutes. That's
Oh,
hard.
yeah. That's hard. Yeah.
Do a donkey kick, like get on your knees and hands and just keep kicking out for 3 minutes. And
Wow.
so she picked that class. We did it together, and then we did a session right afterwards.
Huh.
And so she was in her body, and it was a way that she could connect to her body without dissociating.
You asked her to pick a class, and the deal was you would go with her.
I met her at the class. I was exhausted. I was exhausted. And this, I had researched it after she picked the class, and like that particular exercise method, their goal is like their same repetitive motion again and again to force you to break through your mental resistance. So there's like a psychological aspect to their idea. And I'm doing this jump up in the front of the room are all full of mirrors, and I'm jumping up and down. And I'm watching my hair flap, and I'm like, "Oh, I can do this! My brain is going. I can do this. I
Yeah.
can't do this. I can't do this.
Yeah.
Wow, I like the way my hair looks. Yeah, like I'm listening to my inner monologue
Yes.
because
Yes.
I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh!" So it just gave us a lot of stuff to do. Or I had a young man who, when he
Did you
first,
not have a moment and you're like, why am I getting myself into these
oh,
situations?
100%. And what if
Yeah.
I can't do? What if I can't do it?
Yeah.
I had that
Yeah.
moment too, and sometimes
Yeah.
you can't.
Yeah.
And I took another guy who was a young Hasidic Jewish guy who really was struggling with connection to himself and intimacy. He was dying to get married, could not get past a second date in his life. Really the sweetest guy. And individual therapy was helpful for him for a little while, but then group therapy really, where he could hear other men share
Yeah.
and be like, oh, I feel that way too.
Yeah.
And he literally would say like, I haven't, because we would do like a feelings check-in each week at the beginning of group. And he's like, I haven't thought about my feelings since group last week. Like that's where he started.
Turned off completely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just cerebral,
Yep.
disconnected. And I took him boxing
Boxing.
and not like beat up boxing, but a boxing workout with a boxer. And
Yeah.
then also he was able to be in his body after the session because it was a hard workout. And then it was like a much deeper session.
And did he pick that or did you suggest
I
boxing?
suggested it because I thought he would like it, and he said fine. He was okay with it. And
was it? I have some questions about the setup around these. Were you, like in that case, did you already know the boxing instructor? Was it a place you were familiar with, or did you have to go find a place?
yeah, great question. So it was a gym that I used to go to, and it was an
Okay.
instructor that I knew who had really good energy and knew how to
Okay.
work with people wherever they're at.
Yep.
Really be encouraging, but pushing them too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the challenge is a couple of things, again, things you don't expect. So we're both going from there afterwards. We're going to do an hour boxing and then a session. And then he's going to go back to his life, probably to work, and I'm going to go back to the office. So There's a shower involved somewhere.
Yep. Yep.
There's a locker room involved somewhere. Right?
Yep.
Like negotiating that with the client.
Right. Right.
And then
A lot
also
of therapists are going to freak out at this point. This is where people are going to go, "Oh yeah, no, you can't do that. This is terrible."
right.
But
So
it's
I gave
not
him
terrible.
space. I let him go in. He had the
Yep.
locker room. He showered and I went after
Yep.
him. I
Yeah.
just solved it like that. Like I'm not going to, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then,
But you were careful and mindful of it.
yeah.
So there's a couple of things I want to highlight that you're doing in all these. First of all, I love the variety: exercise class, boxing, surfing. First of all, one of the things that you're doing that I think is really important is that you are involving professionals who understand the skill, and at least in all these examples. And so I think people underestimate this kind of stuff sometime. And I think you do need to be really careful if you're going to do something experiential with people, unless you're a trained, whatever, wilderness first responder who's going to take somebody on a hike, whatever. If you're not an expert in whatever it is, you do need to have an expert there who knows that skill and who you trust. I love that you just said that about the positive energy, because this is so loaded for your clients. So whoever is there to help you is basically your co-therapist, one way or the other.
Correct.
All right. Yeah.
They may not be facilitating feelings, but there's feelings coming up.
Of course they are.
And they're part of the environment.
And they need to be respectful of it and sort of follow your lead in a way, right? In the exercise class, I'm curious, did the person who taught that class know who you were and what was happening? Or were you all just
a profession? I just introduced him as a friend. I introduced the client as a friend.
As a friend.
I didn't violate HIPAA.
Yeah.
He started to understand as I brought a bunch of people in that
he figured out what you were doing. Yeah.
And he was very gentle with them, and he has a really wonderful energy. There are a lot of really good trainers that I've used myself that I would not put clients with.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. So this is an important factor I want people to think about. So when we think about, I really love creative experiential work and I love getting people out of the office to do something, but it is not something you do casually. That's the kind of the point I want to make here. There's a lot of factors. So this is only one of them. The other one is like the physical side of this. So they could have gotten hurt in any of these things. Did you require any kind of a medical clearance? Did you have them sign paper?
Wendy, I probably should have.
Oh, here.
I didn't, and I probably should. It's like, I probably should have created a waiver. I have created waivers for some other things, like when we've taken clients on retreats to Mexico, but I probably should have, and I didn't. And it's kind of like this, I don't know, it's like the debate about big government, small government, right? Like there's a reason why we want government to have so many regulations to make sure things are done well. And at the same time, it slows down the process. So I think that I want to think off air if I do need to really have that or not. But like that's the pull internally for me is like, I want to, of course, make sure there's liability taken care of. And I also feel like if it becomes too cumbersome with much paperwork, it's not going to happen. So that's like for me, the personal internal push and pull.
Where's the middle ground? Where's the
for me? Center? And I'm sure there are some people here, and I have friends who dot every INT with another document, and I understand the reasons, and they should. And I understand, and I have colleagues who have been in this field who are close to retirement, and they don't even send intake paperwork or anything.
Yeah. So I know someone who's never ever kept records. Right? There's a wide range of people out there, but this is a factor to consider. So I wanted to mention that when I've done experiential work, I had that nailed down pretty tight because I had been in a volunteer in programs with youth wilderness programs, and I just basically took what they had and made my version of it that basically said, you could die here and it's not my fault. That's basically what it said, But I did require that kind of stuff. And there were times when that ended up being really important because people had medical issues that had not been revealed to me. And we were in situations where sometimes that became a factor. So it is something to keep in mind. It's also about your tolerance for risk. So I just want to kind of like, as we're talking these things through, these are things to think about. So the sensitivity of your co-practitioner, co-provider in that day, the paperwork or any kind of malpractice or insurance or liability stuff, you want to think through that.
Correct.
Yeah. Correct. So you mentioned Mexico retreats. So let me back up a second. When these ideas come up, Is it a spontaneous thing that happens in session when you're working with somebody and you're like, you know what? I've got an idea about what I think would be really good. What would you think about going to a boxing class? Is it like that? Or is it like, boxing's great. I'm going to start offering this? Like, is it the activity that drives
It's
the
That's a
content the
great
other way
question.
around?
It's a
Yeah.
both. It's both. You know, there are
Yeah.
some where it's more intentional, like, hey, I think this would be a good thing to plan and develop. And
Mm-hmm.
there's other things that is just kind of like, I listen to my body and I feel drawn to it,
Mm.
intuitively.
Mm.
And I say a third thing is I observe how something feels for me and what happens for me. Like I don't know, I get maybe it's self-centered, but like my own, just like many of us, our own experiences come into our work with our clients. So if I'm like noticing a workout or my experience surfing, for example, and I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, this would be really, really great to incorporate with the client because I would want them to
Yep.
have the experience I'm experiencing.
Yes. Yeah. So when you've done something that challenged you in some way, it's like, ooh, I
Yeah,
could use this. I could
correct.
use this with people. That's really,
Correct.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And if I'm really honest, it's a hazard in our profession where we
Hmm.
often, for me, I always joke, for example, like if I took like a book like this is the Strengthening My Recovery. It's like the Adult Child of Alcoholics daily book. There's a million different topics in books like this, right? Like we all have,
Yeah.
anyone in this field knows these types of books where every day
Right.
is a different reading and it's a theme based
One
book.
day at a time thing kind
Yeah,
of stuff. Yeah.
exactly. So I, what happens for me, and I joke about it, is when I read this, my first thought is like, this is really powerful. Who should I share it with?
Mm.
Who needs to hear this? And then my
Yeah.
second thought, if I'm lucky enough to catch myself, is like, oh, wait, Gary, why don't you look at this for yourself?
Mm.
And
Mm.
growing up, like professionally, first working as a teacher and a rabbi, and now as a therapist, it would often train my thought to be focused on others. And the
Yeah.
danger in that, as we know in our field, is I ignore myself.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so there's a hazard of sometimes for me, I only speak for me, but I have seen it with other therapists too, is that we're busy ignoring our own needs or our own
Mm-hmm.
development, our own recovery, our own growth, et
Mm-hmm.
cetera, because we're
Mm-hmm.
focused like this, filling everybody up, giving to others, and then we burn out or crash or go back to old behaviors and
Or make some serious clinical
make serious
mistakes.
clinical, ethical decisions too,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I try to find that line of like, you know, I like this. I want to share this experience, but I also need to make sure I don't forget to experience it myself.
I love that. When I have done experiential things with people, and I've done a lot, I always went out and tried it on my own first.
Yes.
Partly because I need to know what it was like. I need to know that it was safe.
Right.
I need to know what the instructor was like, what the experience was like, but partly because I need to know what it would bring up. What do you feel when you do this? And
Right.
I need to know that when I ask somebody else to trust me enough to try whatever this activity was, I could say, "Don't. I've already done it."
Right. And
Right?
how many of us came to this profession in the same way, right? Like
Yeah.
I always joke if I'm looking up therapists, which I like when I get an email from a therapist, I like to look at their website and just see
Mm-hmm.
what their practice is like and learn about
Mm-hmm.
them. When you see somebody specializing in something like, oh, I have a sense of what their journey and struggle has been.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
someone who specializes in OCD, that 80% chance they might have had a struggle.
Yep.
Anxiety. I had a colleague who specialized, and she created a group in healing from narcissistic men. I'm like, oh, I know why she made that group. So like
Of
so
course.
many of us arrive in this profession, especially
Mm-hmm.
second career people, but not always, as an evolution because of our own experiences.
Our ideal client is always ourselves. Always.
Yeah.
You know what I tell me, we are the after of our clients before,
Oh, I
right?
like that. I
Yeah.
like that a lot, Wendy. Yeah.
That's not mine. A coach used to say that, but it is
Uh,
absolutely
I
true.
like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So an
Yeah.
example of that is that during the pandemic, I was living in New York City. It got hit earlier than almost any other place in the country,
Yeah.
really
Really bad.
severely. And it
Mm-hmm.
was and also living in an apartment building with two elevators that everyone had to share, which was
Mm.
terrifying being around all these other people.
Wow.
It was just, and hearing sirens, I could see them also out my window of
Mm.
ambulances all day long going to hospitals. People were dying.
Mm.
I moved out of the city. I couldn't. take it anymore.
Yeah.
Eventually bought a house where I am now. Um, and I didn't meet many people because I moved here during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then, we all moved virtually for a significant amount of time and still somewhat. But I haven't met a lot of people here. And so I'm working virtually and I'm like feeling lonely
Yeah.
and disconnected.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then even though I'm working virtually all day with people, and I've started hiring some people who were in solo practice for a while. And I'm like, why are you applying to work at my practice if you have your
Yeah.
own practice? Like, what's wrong with you?
Right.
And they're actually excellent clinicians. Like, it's lonely working in solo practice.
Yep.
Like, oh,
Yep.
that's what I'm experiencing. And so it led me to go back and work in person in New York City 2 days a week. But also and I stay overnight one night in the city. And I'm like, what do I want to do with my time? I want to connect with other people. I want to do something fun and I want to do something active. And so I started talking to colleagues about other therapists, not clients, about it. And that's how we came up with this mental health professionals pickleball league.
Oh
Right.
yeah. Yeah. Tell us
So
about
that
that.
was
Yeah.
an example of this, like my own experience of feeling disconnected and lonely in the profession and craving more connection led me to create something that once I saw that it wasn't just me, but many people are feeling this, to create something for other people. And then that had such a response. Like our first season, we had 40 people. Like
Wow.
it was unbelievable.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't even know what we're doing. And that kind of led me to this. I realized like there's a greater need for this. Like it resonated so much, the desire for connection and community. That's not the typical type, which, or at least here, I don't know if you get this where you are, but I get invited to dinners by marketers.
Yeah.
It's the same therapist.
Happy hour mixers is the latest. That's what
Yeah.
everybody's
So,
doing. Yeah.
and they're worth going to. At least in New York, a lot of them are the same people every time. So I stopped going
Yeah.
years ago because I'd rather sit with a client than meet with the same group that didn't really feel connecting actually. And so instead of like a CE lecture or a dinner, we wanted to create activities that people enjoy that allows them to play and connect with other people.
Okay. So I want to put a pin in that real quick. We never think about. I'm going to use never. It's a strong word, but play, joy,
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? This is serious work. We're mental health providers. We're serious here. The idea that you could build fun into your work, either with colleagues or clients, is anachronistic, I think, to how we were taught, right? So, what a concept is that, guys, that you could actually consciously and intentionally create something that is actually fun with your clients or with your colleagues. Yeah.
And we do it a lot with clients too, because we work a lot with men who have severe deprivation of any type of life outside of work and family. Right? Like they are programmed to accomplish, to do, and they don't play and they don't develop nurturing friendships. So we're always pushing that on all of our clients, but especially these types of men. And then again, like, do you have to walk the walk too?
Yeah.
So, and I just know I need it for myself. So it's something I've learned. Like I schedule into my week, probably I have three set one-on-one get-togethers virtually with friends. I have coffee every Wednesday morning for several years now with a friend of mine who's a therapist in Oklahoma City. I have time to connect on Friday mornings with a friend of mine who's in Jerusalem, Israel. And then, and it's on my calendar. So I'm not going to schedule an emergency client. I'm not going to I have to prioritize that for myself. And so
you don't drop it. You don't drop yourself and your needs.
Right.
Just because somebody needs an appointment, you're like, nope, that time is not available. That time is booked for me. Yeah. I have a standing 1:00 on Mondays with an accountability. She's an accountability partner is what we call each other, but we were actually just really good friends. And we've been meeting every week for an hour for like 7 or 8 years at this point. Yeah. Yeah. And don't you know, we have gone through life together. So technically we're supposed to talk about business, but we also talk about kids and spouses and life, so yeah, that's great.
And when I do network, those are the kind of conversations I want to have anyway.
Yeah.
One-on-one, meaningful, substantive conversations, not transactional, like what can we do for you, etc.
So you created this opportunity to connect because you were lonely and needed to meet people. And what you found out is that everybody else was in the same boat and they just were grateful that someone would organize something.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm not and now I've seen other places do it too. In fact, a couple of them are doing it much better than I am too. I'm envious of what they've created. But you see it popping up around, at least in the New York area, I see it. And other places too, where they're creating get-together events, socializing, meaningful connection. Because I think so, I think it's also a result of all this discussion of like the epidemic of loneliness impacted by accelerated by
Yeah.
technology. So we're all
Yeah.
it's our human nature to crave connection and desire
Yes.
and yeah,
Yeah.
so we created a new program as part of the practice called Therapy Tribe, just for mental health professionals. The Pickleball League. Last Thursday night, we had a salsa dancing lesson. Like,
Yeah, this is what when I said I was going to save the best part for later. This is the best part. Right before we hopped on this call, I went and looked at his website, and the first thing I saw was salsa dancing.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
"Wait a minute, what therapy tribe?" So you have taken what was initially just a let's just kind of do this thing, and it's turned into something kind of formal now. It's taken on a life of its own.
yeah, yeah.
Experiences for therapists that are in
Uh,
your
yeah, and it's
particular
so much
group.
fun. I get to
Wow.
merge being the camp director, which I used to be,
Hmm.
to and the informal education and active. I joke about it. I made a joke at dinner after the salsa lesson last week.
Hmm.
Someone's like, "Where do you get these ideas?" So
Salsa lesson.
I'm kind of like Julie McCoy on the Love Boat. And nobody else at the table knew about what the Love Boat was because they were all so much younger than
Oh
me.
my gosh, you're
So
dating yourself. Yeah.
I was like, somebody laughed. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm so glad. Like, no, I just thought the way you said it was funny. And I was like, oh,
I'm the activity director on the cruise ship. Let's put it that way.
exactly, exactly. So
When I was doing Secret Adventures, there were ideas everywhere. Every time I turned around, and I just kept a running list
that's what
on
we
my
do
phone.
also.
Right?
Yeah,
Oh, that would
yeah,
be a great experience. That would be a great therapy tribe night. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we did this like, it takes a lot of guts to show
Yeah.
up to a place where you maybe don't know anyone, or maybe you brought a friend. One couple came as their date night. They were both therapists, but to show up and take a lesson from a salsa instructor, and it sold out.
Goodness.
It
I
sold out,
love it.
and
Okay.
people asked for more, and they gave us feedback of what. So we basically are having 1 to 2 events a month, and then we have a couple big events. Like I mentioned to you, we're starting a 4-day summer camp for therapists or mental health professionals. I don't want to limit it to therapists, where we rented out a real summer camp in the Catskills and up an hour and a half out of New York
Mm,
City.
mm,
Bunks, private cabins, a
yeah.
lake, a heated pool,
Mm,
arts and crafts, all sports
all the things.
activities, all these things that people can come and play as adults. Well, they'll be structured too, and also figured out how to get CEs for it too by offering play therapy, dance therapy workshops too, so people can do those, have fun, and get CEs. Also, if they can't
Just
just
put a therapeutic angle into all the
yeah, if they
activities.
can't come for play and connection alone, and they want to make it
Call
like
it training.
yeah, and
Huh.
I'm the most excited about that. Like, I think it's going to be so much. I would love for you to come.
Yeah,
Any listeners here, please
for
come join
real.
us.
So Therapy Tribe is like a network that you've created, right? A community that you've created, and you're hosting live events a couple of times a month in your area,
In our
and,
area, right, eventually maybe larger. We have people
and then
coming
these
from
special
yeah,
things. Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
then also it creates networking opportunities for people. So,
Mm-hmm.
like everyone who came to the salsa event last week, we have a spreadsheet. They can put their name, their practice, their specialization, their contact info, and then
Yep.
they share. They start. One person owns a group practice, and like me, she's figuring it out on the fly, like every group practice owner. And she
Yeah.
said, "Can we create a group for group practice owners to meet once a month to talk about all these ideas?" And then
Yeah.
I'm like, "Let's do it."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's all that stuff, and I think that there's no reason that it can't be replicated in other cities for other
You just have to be
communities.
willing to try something that's a little scary, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. You have to be willing to be a practicing imperfectionist and get out there and just try it, which is kind of how I do everything. So, just for a little technical stuff in this particular, in this aspect of what you're doing, do they pay like an annual fee of some sort to be a part of this? Are you just charging by the event? How are you pricing it? What's the
excellent
structure?
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, we charge by the event. That when I
Okay.
said earlier, there are some organizations that have figured it out. I think are better than we doing it
That's
better.
what they're doing.
I belong to one because I wanted to learn from it, and also they have great value. But yeah, there's two therapists in New York also who put together this intentional community of people for referrals, for connection, for events, for artistic creativity. And so
Mm,
that one is like a paid membership.
hmm.
And then some events you have to pay for also.
Yeah. Yeah. Above
I
and
hadn't
beyond.
thought it through that well, like they did, and so I just charging for each event and
Yeah.
hope that it creates connection and fun for people and enhances their lives, but then also hope that it becomes a community for referrals,
Mm-hmm.
for support, things like
Mm-hmm.
that.
So beyond the therapeutic value of this, which is rich enough both for your clients and for your colleagues, there's a lot of work involved in making these kinds of things happen. So it's fun, it's good for everybody, it's awesome if you're on the receiving end and you just get to show up and dance.
Yeah.
But you're the guy behind the scenes that's making it happen. So talk to me about what that's like, because
Yeah.
that's another important piece for people to know.
Yeah. So I hired someone who I met again through pickleball. So we started the pickleball thing. All these people I never met. Most of them I had never met before, which excited me. Like, you have your small circle of therapists you already typically know.
Yeah.
And I was exposed to a whole groups of people I didn't know. So I love that. And so one of them, Hannah Salazar, I hope she listens to this. So give her some props. She's just had this wonderful energy that connected people and just bright and likes this type of thing too. And we just talked for over the course of a year. And she now works at my practice as a clinician part-time and also running these events.
Wonderful. Go Hannah.
Go
That's
Hannah.
huge.
Yep.
Yeah, that's huge. I kept wanting to find somebody like that, but when I was doing monthly events that were surprise adventures, so people would sign up and show up and they had no idea what they were coming to. That was what I was doing. And
I remember you. Yeah, you told me all
yeah,
about
I
it.
mentioned this before, and I just did a whole episode on that. So by the time people hear this, they will know all the details about that, right? But which is where some of my questions are coming from, because I know how hard it was. It was a massive amount of work for me. It was a lot. And I kept wanting to create a situation where I had like a mini me, so I didn't even have to go to all the events. Somebody else could handle it. But there was so much skill involved.
Yeah.
So much skill, because people get triggered. They've got issues that come up in the events, whatever. And you had group dynamics, physical stuff. There were so many aspects. I never did get to the point where I had someone that was adequately trained, that I never got that process worked out. I think today I would handle a lot of things differently.
It's a challenge. So, I mean, Hannah's great.
That's great that you have her.
I trust in her, and, it's brand new. And so we have a meeting every week. So that was, again, I'm sure you do it too. Like, if I want to really hand something off to someone to implement my vision, and I want them to put their own stamp on it, but I really want it to incorporate my vision, I have to take the time to train them. Just because I hired them and told them once or twice doesn't mean they know what to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You do not just hand it off and go, great, you got it. You have to, this is where you cannot abdicate your responsibility as the visionary behind the practice, right?
Yeah.
And when you do something brave and creative and awesome like this, and you're going to bring on team members to help you implement it, you still have a responsibility to guide that conversation and to completely mentor and monitor things for a while until they get to the point where that they've got it. But it does need to be what you want. And you're right. That's a really, really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. When I've hired since then I've hired other people to do other things, and I'm much, much more intentional about that now than I used to be. So that's good. That's really good. Yeah. So Hannah kind of sort of manages the administrative side of this, which is not insignificant, I suspect.
And I sat her down and we had a good conversation. This is the type of conversation you would have is like, well, here's my vision. What's your vision?
Yeah.
Like, my vision is not that you are just cross T's and dot I's, or, a data entry person. Like, I want her to be the visionary, her to have the passion, and I can share it with her. I can share my passion or my vision, and I want her to carry it. I want her to be the face. Like at camp, she's the director. I'm not.
Love it.
I'm not I'm happy to help her. I've done it before. I'll guide her. And then I want her to be able to do it on her own, which will then free up my time. Like, I don't think I'll have to be with her for an hour a week, every week, always. Although but as long as I do, I will. And constant support for the person so that they then can go off and make it their own and develop a vision.
Yeah. That's how you also avoid burnout.
Well, that's exactly it. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And how you scale an idea to where you're taking all of this. This is sort of taking on a life of its own that
I could do this. Yeah, we could be focusing on therapy tribe all day long, right? Like I
yeah,
could,
yeah.
but I like to teach my staff, and I also like to work with the clients. So that's something that I still want to be involved in. But there'll be a point not long away where I'm not going to go to the events. Like right now, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going because I want to help create the energy and
Mm-hmm.
draw. And
Mm-hmm.
there are nights when I'm not going to go to some events. And eventually, like, wow, what if I don't go?
Yeah.
It runs fine. That's the
Love it.
success. Yeah.
So that's a system. And this is one of the things that as your practice grows, you have to reach the point that you theoretically should be doing less. The more successful you are, the less you should be doing.
Correct.
Because you need to have systems and team in place where the business can run without you. If it can't, and I totally understand this, why it takes a while to get to this point, but if your business on some level cannot run without you, then you're too much into it and you're going to wear yourself out. So that's sort of a thing to grow towards, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have there been any moments along the way when things didn't go well, or you had a problem you hadn't anticipated, or you ran into something with a client where you had to think on your feet how to solve it? What are some of those kinds of things that have happened, and what did you learn from them?
All the time. All
Yeah,
the time,
I bet. Yeah.
I had an idea of starting a practice for women only, where it was by women. I mean, it was by me through women,
Yeah.
but for women. And I still think it's a good idea. It is a good idea. I just didn't hire the right person.
Mm-hmm.
And I also didn't get rid of them fast enough once I realized they weren't the right person.
Yep.
And I tried to make it work way longer than it should have.
Yeah.
And I lost a lot of money and time,
Mm-hmm.
not just the money that we threw into the business, but
Yeah.
also all that time I could have been doing something else. And I reached the point where I'm like, I got to wrap this up because we're losing money once. And it, like we keep sinking more into it and it's not getting better.
Yeah.
Like, that was hard.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was really hard. And it was an expensive lesson. So I learned to hire better, hopefully, and to hire slower. I learned to listen to myself about those niggling questions in your mind about people.
That was a lesson in leadership.
Yeah.
Your
and
leadership.
trusting myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, that you were running that that initiative and feeling something but resisting. So there's a saying: hire slow, fire fast.
Yep.
Yeah, which I totally get. It's hard. We are kind people. We love people. We don't want to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
But you were hurting yourself. So that was a big lesson to learn that I am the leader of this thing. So I have to make these tough calls. Sometime.
Yeah, and don't be scared. Like, and if I'm scared, and I still get scared all the time, but why am I scared?
Yeah.
Like, if I have to get rid of this person, I mean, obviously you don't want to hurt someone, but like, if it's not working for them either.
Right. That's an important point. Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one. I mean, I feel like all the time in session with clients, I feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. And usually I pray, and I really don't know. I had a couple last week and they were so hard. And I was like, I just started praying quietly to myself, like in my,
help me out here.
Show me what to say or do, because I don't know.
Yeah.
And it came, but like things like that.
What about experientially? Like when you've taken people to a boxing class or surfing or on a retreat, have you ever had something happen out in the field, out of the office?
Yeah.
That was critical.
So we took some clients several times to Mexico to do a retreat using a psychedelic called ibogaine. Which
oh really? Okay.
It's often used to deal with opiate addiction, and that's not generally our population in the practice. So it was more to heal trauma. And also we took a group of women who were betrayed partners by their spouses to help them with that trauma too. And the last trip we did, wonderful group of men that we took, Hannah and I took them, actually the same person. And one of the clients was really, really struggled, like high OCD, anxiety. Yeah. And he just had in fact, the place said that he was one of the most challenging clients that they had. And he just kept looping. Yeah. Looping, obsessing, looping. And I didn't know it until like the third day there, but I had COVID. Dear. I was feeling out of it, but I didn't know why. And then I finally, the doctor there gave me a COVID test and I had COVID, which is like another thing. Goodness. And this guy had obsessed about medical issues. Oh gosh. And he was looping and, he was obsessed that he had to use the restroom and he couldn't use it. And so he just kept obsessing something's wrong with his body. He's going to get sick and more sick. Yep. And I went to this went on from throughout the night. I went to bed around 1 a.m. and they woke me up at 5 a.m. and they had to administer a catheter to him, and they
Yeah.
wanted me to be there to hold his hand. And,
Wow.
so it's things like that. I
Yep.
mean, we had a medical staff on board, so I wasn't worried about the medical piece because there's a very competent medical staff that was there, but a doctor and nurses. But, it took a lot.
Yeah, I get
Wow.
that. Yeah. I took a group to the beach for a week, a women's retreat that had secret adventures in the middle of it. And everyone who went on that trip were people I had already done experiences with. But one of them, it's a whole different thing when you're doing overnight events with people or, offsite. And I ended up with somebody in that group who turned out to be a hoarder that I had no idea, and ended up creating all kinds of problems that took everything I had to manage because it was impacting the rest of the group. It made everything harder. I won't go into all the details, but it took every psychological skill I have and group dynamic skill I have to keep her from really ruining the experience for everybody. Turned out just fine. We got through it. We got through it just fine. But it was, that happens. You get out into the field. You take a bunch of kids out into the woods, and you've got a kid. I've had kids who were facing heat stroke because they weren't hydrating properly. So things like that happen. So yeah, you have to be ready for that. I was just kind of curious because you've done so many experiential things with folks. I'm thinking you've had to have had things come up with clients that you hadn't anticipated. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're not game for that, then don't do this kind of stuff. Right. Yeah. But on the other hand, this is all like, if you only want to play it safe, then, I don't want to be judgy about it because there's a comfort level for everybody. And some people are just not wired for this at all. And that's perfectly fine. There's a right way. Each of us have our own way of being with clients that works for us. But if you are the kind of person who kind of likes to shake it up a little bit and would like to do something a little different and would like to have some fun, and explore different ways of serving clients and connecting, helping them connect. These are really great ideas. They are not nothing. This is what I always want to talk about both of those things. The reward is great. The responsibility is also great. Mm-hmm. Right? It's both of those. Yeah. Yeah. Like you, I've had the honor of being taught and trained by some really special people. And I've been in some situations that were really, I've done a lot of backcountry stuff, a lot of wilderness kind of stuff. And I've been in situations that could have been seriously, potentially life-threatening, but was with teams and professionals who knew what they were doing and set it up so carefully that even when things went wrong, we had the systems in place to make sure everybody was okay. So don't do this casually, but do it.
Yeah. And I just want to say, if there's any people out there who want to do it or have ideas, they're all, I invite them to reach out to me. If you want to email me, I'd love to hear your ideas. I'd love to talk it through and plan it out for you, help you plan, just bounce off ideas. And if they need a little confidence booster, be supportive, because, the thing that I think holds most of us back for trying something different in life, but certainly clinically, is fear.
Yeah.
And sometimes if we just have someone to talk about it with, we can get past our own fear and then do what we really want to do.
So one of the cool things, are you familiar with the concept challenge by choice? Do you know that? Have you ever done a ropes course? Mm-hmm. Okay. So in a ropes course, I'm going to hope that most of you who are listening are familiar with this, but the concept is a series of, they call them elements. There's high elements, low elements. There's basically a series of exercises that are, usually in a situation that's like in the woods somewhere where you're climbing over a high wall, you're walking a tightrope that's tied between two trees or whatever, like lots of that kind of stuff. High elements are way up off the ground. Low elements are usually at the ground level or just above. I have found the low elements are harder, personally. I can jump off a cliff and I can climb a tree, but don't make me lean on people down on the ground. That's a lot harder for me.
Yeah.
But the concept of challenge by choice, which is common in that world, is that you present a client with, here's something we want to do. We want to encourage you to try this thing. And they basically, the fight is between them and themselves. They don't have to do it. Mm-hmm. They can opt out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that.
right? They can opt out. So in the one of the most powerful things I ever did was a juvenile justice program, which you'll love because of your work with kids, where we would I was a volunteer. We would take a group of about 10 or 12 kids, 4 adults, out into a 4-day off-trail backpacking experience in a really pretty place in up on the Tennessee-Kentucky border. And at some point in that experience, would do a pretty serious rock climbing and rappelling day where they were rappelling down about a 135-foot cliff.
Oof.
That was a sheer cliff, and you could not see where you're going when you're on the top. It's beautiful. It's over a gorge. It's absolutely one of the coolest things in the world. But of course, your brain tells you you're going to die. So you should not do this. And the guy that was leading these trips, who I just have so much respect for, he would stand there with these kids as long, and we had massive safety. Like there was so much safety, something I have strong feelings about, obviously. But he would say, if you don't want to do this, we can walk, because we were going to camp on the bottom. Like we were lowering backpacks as well. We were camping down there tonight at the bottom of the gorge. And he would say, there is I can hike, I can get you down there. It's about 5 or 6 miles. It's a long walk, but I do not mind. I will do that with you in a heartbeat if you don't want to do this. And he meant it. He wasn't shaming them. It was respectful. It was serious. So the challenge by choice is you can do this terribly scary thing and back off this cliff and find out that you can do this hard thing. Or I will walk with you. Either way, he said, I have nothing but respect for you, because it's just as hard to say no when you're in a group of other people who are doing this and choose to walk. And over the years, he had maybe 2 or 3 kids take him up on that, right? Either way, it's still powerful. Either way, they are embodied in their own choice. Either way, it's very, very good. It's really good for everybody, right? Yeah. The work that you're doing, what I love about it is that you're inviting people to come out into the world with you and do something besides you. Like you see, you started off talking about frontal teaching. Mm-hmm. I just had a flashback. So I interviewed an equine assisted therapist who works with horses recently, who's fantastic. And she made a random comment towards the end of that conversation about with a horse, when you are facing the horse, that's a stop position. When you are beside a horse, that's a friendly position. We're together in this. That's what frontal teaching is, right? It strikes me as the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
When you take people out to a boxing class or an exercise class, or for that matter, a retreat in Mexico, you are in it with them. You're not just sitting across the room from them. You are literally in it with them. Yeah. How powerful is that?
Like in Mexico, we went with them and did a sweat lodge.
Oh, that's huge.
That was part of their prep. And then here we are in the sweat lodge with them.
Yeah.
And you have to decide, because part of it is a ritual, sharing about things like how much do you want to share your personal stuff, or how much you want to, make it in a way that it just fits, so that creates space for them, right? So again, you're 100% right.
Yeah. I think you still have to be the professional.
Yep.
And you still have to sort of hold a little bit of a boundary there. This isn't about you spilling your stuff with them, but it is about you experiencing this event with them. And that in itself, I don't think you can, there's no adequate words to me to explain how powerful that can be, which it sounds like is what you do all the time. I love it, Gary. You're so good at this. I was just thinking, like there are layers upon layers upon layers of rich, sweet, therapeutic benefit to getting out of your office and doing something with your clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say it doesn't have to be something like jumping off a cliff or surfing. I took people to a pottery class once.
Exactly.
Stirred up all kinds of things. I can't do art. I can't do that.
Exactly. Yeah. I took groups to do karaoke.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Thing.
Yes. Yeah. It doesn't even matter what it is. So here's where I'm going to bring this back. This is perfect. I love it when it works. When I find myself around following the circle, we're back to where we started in the beginning. You were telling us about this very first woman that you took to that surfing experience, and all the different things that were going through your mind as the facilitator, as the guide in that moment. At the end, when you said she was so tired because she'd been out there working so hard, and she was much more in her body than she'd been before. What happened for her emotionally? What came out of that in terms of her self-concept? Yeah,
I mean, she was able to drop down much quicker, immediately actually, and really be present to the feelings that she was feeling. Well, I would say first the sensations in her body that led her to the feelings that she was feeling.
Yeah.
And as we sat with those, we rode the wave of those feelings.
Literally and figuratively.
They rode out, and she dropped into a deeper sense of connection to herself.
Mm. Mm. Was she proud of what she had done that day?
Yeah. And after that, she would send me pictures of her surfing all over the world.
For real.
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
But yeah, so I mean, we went a number of times, but there were times when it dropped into like a really sense of self in a negative context of pain and like judgment. And we worked with that, but ultimately working through all those things, or she dropped into a sense of self where, she felt empowered.
Yes.
She felt, even though she had all these, judgments of self or other things, but she felt connected to herself in a way that felt emboldened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So good. So good. Yeah. I think that's what gets me is the pride, the sense of self, the sense of self-worth that people have, even if they're not any good at it. Just the fact that they have the guts to try it surprises people. So, and then you can process that for weeks back in your office in your traditional sessions, right? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I think I could talk to you all night and listen to all of your stories. I'm
willing to be your first person that comes back for the third time.
Yeah. We'll just make this like a quarterly event. I definitely want to look into your tribe thing. I have heard of different people doing this idea, but I've never gone to anything like that myself. I hate networking, but I love playing. So I just think that would be so cool. That'd be so cool. And it would be great to meet you in person someday too. That would be awesome.
I would love that too.
That would be great. Yeah. Thank you for sharing this with my people. And guys, I want to highlight a couple things here. When Gary said, call him, if you've got an idea, call him. Yeah. Like he can coach you through this. If you've got something like, I don't know, I was kind of thinking about this. Is this crazy? He can totally coach you through this. Totally do that. So take him up on that. He doesn't bite. I'm pretty sure he doesn't bite. I do actually sometimes, but I don't think he does. So
I don't.
Yeah. You should totally take him up on that. I have to warn people. I love that. And you will be, let's say there's something that you've kind of had a night, y'all, it really could be something as simple as here's the other thing. I'm sorry. I'm getting too excited. The whole thing about going to an exercise class with them made me think about going to an AA meeting with people, which is something I've done a lot with folks over the years, right? So it's saying, I will walk with you into this thing. Right. So y'all, that idea is a really easy one. Like if there's an experience in your community, some kind of a class that's already out there that would be good for your client to say, you know what, I'll go with you. Let's go do that together. And poof, just like that, you've done some experiential work with somebody and you will know how to make the most of it. You will know how to help them process it, learn from it, integrate the lessons into everything else you're doing with them. You'll know. Yeah. Awesome. Beautiful. Golly, I love this so much. Well, thank you, Gary. Tell everybody how to find you. What's the best way to reach out to you?
My email. Well, two ways I would say. Our website, intimacyrecovery.com. Simple. Intimacyrecovery.com. And my email is my name, Gary Katz, at intimacyrecovery.com. And Katz is Katz, Gary Katz. And I welcome people to reach out. I love meeting new people.
Yeah, clearly you do. You go to a lot of trouble to meet new people. Yeah, that's great. Y'all go look at his website and look at the therapy tribe. I think that might be that might inspire you as well.
Yeah, come to our summer camp.
Come. All right, everyone. I think I'm going to drop it there for today, but this has been super fun. And I hope that I hope it's got your juices flowing. And maybe you're a little excited because you can see that this is actually doable, this idea that you've been playing with. That's what I want you to take away from today. Have a great week, everybody. Go off and play a little bit while you're at it. And I will see you next time right here on the Ideal Practice Podcast. Bye now. Hey, y'all. If this program has become important to you, if Ideal Practice matters, it would mean so much to me if you'd be willing to take just a minute to do one or two of the following things. First of all, would you follow or subscribe to the show here at Ideal Practice? Following me helps you because you'll never miss an episode, but it helps me as well for all kinds of reasons. To do that, all you have to do is go to the show page for Ideal Practice on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. There, just click on the plus sign that you'll usually find in the top right-hand corner, or click on the word follow that you're going to find somewhere there on that page. Of all the things, this really is the most important thing you can do for the podcast itself. While you're there, it would be extra special if you would be willing to give me a 5-star rating, and even better than that, a review with your own words. Your words matter. And when you write what you feel, what you think, you uplift and encourage others. And I love that. If you want to go a step further than that, take your favorite episode or two, one of the ones that has meant a lot to you, and share it with a friend. Could you do one or two of those things for me? I promise I will love you forever. You guys matter to me, and I value your support more than I can possibly say. Thank you, sweet friend, for anything you can do to help me out and support the show. I'll see you again soon.